Hey everyone, I'm the Canadian lad, and this time I have watched Ant-Man at 0.25x speed and found 24 new details that I may have missed at regular speed. And I'm gonna put all the details from the quantum realm at the end of this video, so make sure to watch it till the end. Now without any further ado, let's begin. Number 1. When Scott shrinks down in his suit for the first time, there's a plug in the bathtub labeled 1.5 inches to give us a sense of just how small he has become. Number 2. Remember the Stan Lee cameo from the Incredible Hulk, which I still haven't watched in slow motion? Yes, this cameo. And the soda Stan Lee was drinking can be seen again in this movie when Scott Lang got fired from Baskin Robbins and was on his way home. And that brings me to another amazing detail, number 3. The address on Scott Lang's halfway house is 420, which is literally half of his family's house, 840. This small little detail shows just how much effort Marvel puts behind making these movies. Number 4. During the final fight between Yellow Jacket and Ant-Man, they both get stuck inside a briefcase, and inside the briefcase was an iPhone. But notice this iPhone has a date of Friday, October 8. Now the movie takes place in the year 2015, and it wasn't Friday on October 8th in 2015, it was Thursday. So this is an incorrect date from that year, and I'm not complaining, just pointing out that in order for this date to be true, the year has to be 2010 or 2021. Now you may ask, why would they make such mistake? And the answer is, they didn't. It's another Easter egg, because they announced Ant-Man's sequel on October 8th, and through this iPhone they were foreshadowing this already. Now this is what I call an amazing attention to detail. Now before I move on to my next point, I'll just take 30 seconds of your time to thank Opinion Outpost for sponsoring this video. Opinion Outpost is the easiest way to make money online for simply sharing your opinion and completing super simple surveys. With easy to follow multiple choice questions, you can make money while watching Netflix or during work. It's that simple. For example, I'm trying to buy this wallet from Amazon, so I'm going to be using the money I make from Opinion Outpost towards this wallet. So if there is something you want to buy but are lacking the money, then Opinion Outpost can help you get there. So simply follow my link in description to sign up today and start earning some extra cash. Moving on. Number 5. During the scene when Hank Pym was explaining to Scott who he is and how did he make the Ant-Man suit, if we pay attention to the background, we can see Hank Pym has a Resin 3D printer in his basement lab. Resin printers are often used to prototype things, including masks and tech like the Ant-Man suit. Again, another great continuity detail. Number 6. When Scott Lang shrinks down to the size of an ant for the first time, he becomes smaller than dust mites, and we can clearly see the dust floating around in slow motion. Number 7. The Avengers Compound has an amazing continuity detail in this movie. If I zoom in, you can clearly see there's a burn mark in the lawn. Now the reason this is amazing is because this mark was left by Thor in Age of Ultron when he left Earth to find answers on the Infinity Stones.
I bid you farewell and good luck, morons.
That man has no regard for lawn maintenance.
Number 8. When Scott Lang went to infiltrate the Avengers Compound, he had to fight Sam Wilson, aka Falcon. But notice, Scott used the same move on Falcon to defeat him that Hope once taught him while training. Number 9. When Falcon was trying to search for Ant-Man, his scan mode was set to zoom. This is because when Falcon would be flying through the air, people would likely appear as the size of ants, and he needs to be able to pick them out. And this is how he was able to see Ant-Man when he was right in front of him.
Abort, Scott. Abort now.
It's okay. He can't see me.
I can see you.
He can see me.
Hi, I'm Scott.
Did he just say, hi, I'm Scott?
And that brings me to my next point, number 10. After Scott successfully infiltrates the Avengers headquarters, he wanted to hear some compliments from Hank Pym, but Hank told him let's not dwell on the past.
I was good, wasn't I?
Hey, how about the fact that I fought an Avenger and didn't die?
Let's not dwell on the past. We gotta finish our planning.
And at the beginning of the film, we saw Howard Stark telling Hank to move beyond his past and focus more on the future.
We need you. The Pym particle is a miracle, please. Don't let your past determine the future.
This shows how Hank Pym himself has evolved and learned to let go and focus more on the future. Number 11. When Darren Cross brings the Hydra agents into the room where Yellow Jacket's suit is stored, one of them has a tattoo showing above his collar. It is the symbol of the 10 rings who kidnapped Tony Stark in the first Iron Man film. Number 12. Hank Pym and everyone else get surprised when they saw Darren Cross inside their house. Hank asks, "How the hell did you get in here?" To which Cross replies, "You left the front door open."
How the hell did you get in here?
Left the front door open, Hank. It's official. You're old.
Now this is some sort of a problem that's been running around in the Pym family, because earlier in the film we saw Scott Lang getting into Hope's car without her permission and says you gotta lock your doors.
Oh, God.
You gotta lock your doors. I mean, really, there's some weird folks in this neighborhood.
Do you think this is a joke?
Number 13. This particular scene where Darren Cross visits Hank Pym in his house brings me to another awesome detail. Notice there is a small car in that living room, which seems more like a toy, and that's what I initially thought. But guess what? This is the same car that Hank drives when he visits Darren's lab at the end of the film. He shrinks it down and keeps it parked literally in his own living room. Now that is an awesome detail. Number 14. During Darren Cross's speech at the beginning of the film, he mentions that the stories of Ant-Man were simply tales to astonish.
Ant-Man. That's what they called you. Right, Hank? Silly, I know. Propaganda. Tales to astonish.
This is a reference to Ant-Man comics, who originally made his debut in Tales to Astonish in 1962. Number 15. Now being your Canadian lad, I couldn't have ignored this detail. A newspaper article Hank Pym holds up mentions a Sasquatch. This refers to the Canadian superhero Dr. Walter Lankowski. He is just like Hulk, who experimented with gamma radiation and became Sasquatch. So in other words, he's a beast, and appeared for the first time in the X-Men comics. Number 16. When Darren Cross shows up at Hank Pym's house to invite him to the unveiling of the Yellow Jacket, notice he's wearing black clothes and gloves, exactly an outfit only a killer would wear to minimize evidence. Later in the movie, Darren admits to Hank that he actually went to his house to kill him and not to give an invitation.
You know, I came to the house the other night to kill him. But you were there. I wasn't ready to kill you then. But I think I am now.
Number 17. At the beginning of the movie, Louis tells Scott that he was the only one to ever knock out Peachy in their goodbye ritual.
You know what? I'm still the only one to knock him out.
Well, I definitely didn't.
Later, Louis fights 4 men, knocking all of them out with a single punch to the face. He's the only one in the film to do this. Number 18. Scott used a fake name, Jack, to work at Baskin Robbins, which is understandable considering he was just released from prison. He then asked his co-worker Darby to take over the register while he speaks to the manager. Jack and Darby are the names of Paul Rudd's children in real life. I immediately caught it because I'm a big fan of Paul Rudd, but then again, who isn't? But I've been his fan ever since I started watching Friends, and I knew the name of his kids, so when I saw it in this movie, it immediately grabbed my attention. Number 19. When Scott Lang escaped prison with the help of Hank Pym, he was flying through a tram and walked across a newspaper, where the headline reads, "Who is to blame for Sokovia?" This is a direct reference to the Battle of Sokovia from Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 20. When Ant-Man fell on the rooftop of a car, inside the car was this actor, and he's none other than Garrett Morris, who was the first ever actor to portray Ant-Man in a 1979 Saturday Night Live skit called Superhero Party. Number 21. Towards the final fight in the movie, when approaching a steep pipe, the ants fasten Scott for the ride. Now I know very little about CGI, but I'm sure this extra detail was a whole bunch of work for someone, and the reason I'm including this detail is because the VFX department that worked in a movie like this should get the applause they deserve. And now I'm gonna break down the quantum realm, but I'm only gonna give you 3 details for now, because I'm gonna do a full breakdown of the quantum realm once I'm done watching Ant-Man 2 as well, because Ant-Man and the Wasp has given us more details about the quantum realm, so it only makes sense if I do a separate video on this after breaking down both of these movies. Number 22. When Ant-Man shrinks down to the subatomic scale, a tardigrade is briefly visible when he's shrinking, indicating that at that point he had shrunk to less than 1 millimeter in size, because a tardigrade size is usually between 0.3 to 0.5 millimeter, so the fact that it looked that big comparing to Scott indicates just how small he had become. Number 23. Inside the quantum realm, there was continuous ripple effects coming from Ant-Man's suit, implying he kept on getting smaller and smaller every second he was inside the quantum realm. Number 24. When Scott goes subatomic at the end of the film, you can see the shadow of a person with wings, which later turns out to be the original Wasp, aka Janet Van Dyne in Ant-Man's sequel. Hank Pym mentioned how his wife Janet never came back after going into the quantum realm, but the shadow inside the quantum realm indicated she was still alive and was setting her up for the sequel. And that's it. These are my findings from the first ever Ant-Man movie, and I hope I was able to give you at least a few new details through this video. And if I did, then please grab the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up, and comment down below your favorite details from this movie. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Coming up next is Civil War, so I'll see you lads in the next one.
Scotty needs us, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing gonna stop us. Back it up. Back it up slow. Yeah. Just back it up. Yeah. And back it up. Okay? All you gonna do is just, we just back it up, okay? That's it. Back it up. That's right. Back it up. Yep. Just back it up. No. Just back it up.